Let's see. Okay, cool. We're right back where we were. From the top. Yeah, we get to see the Final Fantasy 13 thing happen again. Robot spawn. Or at least get to have the cutscene, so it didn't kill the cutscene on us.
Steen! Steen, listen to me, please!
I'm afraid she's gone.
Synchronization will soon be complete.
I'll admit, I don't know like anything about Final Fantasy 13.
Synchronization.
This kind of reminds me of the Vex from the Vex or the splicers from Destiny, actually.
Forever will I keep and cherish my people.
It's a great soundtrack and a beautiful backdrop.
I have removed the remaining checks upon my authority.
Guards!
Obstructions to the plan will be summarily removed.
Wait, I still haven't said...
Be gone from my presence.
Everything else is the subject of much contention. You Final Fantasy fans sure are a contentious lot.
According to Eliminator's battle data, you pose the single greatest threat. As such, you will be erased here and now.
I am the bearer of the memories of Queen Sphene of Alexandria, and my desire to protect my people transcends all others.
One of the two Final Fantasy games I've played, that one and 4 on the DS. See, the only one I've played besides 14 is 3 on the DS, and 3 on the DS is so bad I don't really want to play any other Final Fantasies. I was hesitant to start playing this game back in A Realm Reborn because I remembered how bad that game was on 3DS. Or on the regular, or was the regular DS, I think, is what Final Fantasy 3 was on. The game was dog shit. The game was unapologetically bad. And it wasn't like it played bad, it was everything about it was bad. There was no redeeming qualities to Final Fantasy 3. Their team was on the 360, it was 2 discs, and it was at least very pretty to look at and listen to. That was enough to draw you, and that's how they get you.
If things should take a turn for the worse... Mind my...
I'm shutting you down.
Obstructions to the plan will be summarily removed.
I think I keep this with me. Summon in 7 of my closest friends and take a crack at this. Interfos, now accessible. Oh, this one we have to do with other people. A world free of suffering and loss. This earnest wish made by the young Queen Sphene in her final moments was realized centuries later in the form of living memory, a twisted paradise behind the legend of the Golden City. In order to obtain the aether needed to sustain the sanctuary's recreated denizens, Sphene has shed her conscience. The memories she had of a living person, to arise as within the Meso Terminal as a terrifying entity possessed of absolute authority. Thus empowered, she now seeks to initiate interdimensional fusion and harvest the life force of people in other worlds. It falls to you to stop her before untold lives are sacrificed. Get in there and finish this. The soundtrack's very, Sonic Colors, I have to say. Not that that's a bad thing. I think that's the only thing about that game that's actually good is the soundtrack. I really hope that this is actually a fun time, because I did not like the last 2 dungeons. I wasn't a huge fan of the last 2 dungeons. Just on the way that the mechanics are presented is not... they're not a good time. I'm hoping that I hope this lives up to the last two trials. I really liked the first 2 trials. Those were really fun. I'm interested to see if this is as good as the other ones are. All the rest of the dungeons are really good though. Just these last 2 just don't hold up as well in my opinion. I'm not as big a fan. The level 99 and the level 100 dungeon kind of suck. Kind of sucked. Ow. There it is. Alright, let's find out if I like this fight or not. One nice thing about 14 boss fights is that they pretty much only have one way to engage with it. It's not like World of Warcraft where there's a totally degenerate way to engage with manipulating mechanics and just be like, look, we just can ignore this whole mechanic because you overlap these 3 different fucking defensive cooldowns and now you just ignore mechanics, and and the best way to do the fight now is to do it in this degenerate way because the mechanic is bad otherwise to deal with, or it's perceived as a bad mechanic to deal with because you have to play mechanics. I do like that about this game. Oh, I still didn't update the portrait. Oh well. We'll fix it later.
The worlds have been bridged. Be at ease, everyone. Your ether will soon be replenished.
There's 8 of my best friends.
I will suffer no interference. Disappear.
Oh, I see how this works. That's a really neat way to visualize that. He's got a lot of health. Oh, fuck, what is this? Well, this fight certainly got spectacle, that's for sure. Guess we've got that to deal with. Just giving everything the suck. I wonder, is that gonna, like, actually give us a reason to worry about it yet? Now what? Oh, what is this shit gonna be? Okay. Fuck was... That's a fucking stupid mechanic. Oh, what? How do you even tell what the hell this is gonna be? Where's my provoke? So she's hitting me instead of everybody else. That's a stupid fucking mechanic. It's so hard to tell what the hell he wants you to do there. That is a bad mechanic. It's a shit mechanic. It's really funny, but it's fucking stupid. That is the game does not have inherent depth perception for that to work properly. The way that's presented and the way it should work do not match. A more forgiving hitbox would make that not nearly as frustrating of a mechanic to just wipe people out like that. Because it's quite literally set up like the fucking Wipeout TV show game. Is that it's a really stupid thing, because I was in the hole, and then it's like, oh no, you weren't in the hole enough. So you just get knocked the fuck off because it's smaller than it should be. It's pretty dumb. Oh wait, no, that's group up. I'll pretend I had him. I'm not gonna lie, this fight's up there with Endsinger. It's just a fucking mess of mechanics. It's visual vomit, and I don't like it. Part of this fight is good, other part of this fight is not good. I don't understand what got me vuln stacks there. I wish I knew, because I sure as shit don't understand. I feel like the other two fights are better set up. I don't like this one. I don't think this one presents itself anywhere near as well.
Is this a rift in reality? Has she lost control of the power? Sphene, listen to me. I understand. I do. And I know that you won't be swayed from your course. But if there's truly no other way to resolve this, then face me. Not as a machine, but as the real you.
Lamachi.
Anomaly detected in memory banks. Data for the endless being partially restored.
This is what I desire, and I will not fail. I can't bear to lose them. Not again.
I feel your pain, as if it were my own. At last, I think I know you. All of you.
How can you say that to me now?
It's over, Sphene. We will stop you.
Okay, why did that give me a vuln stack? How was I? You can't even tell which one's a different color. This is again another situation of everything's the same fucking color, so you can't tell what's safe and what's not.
My
The shit fight. The same fucking problem I had with Endsinger.
Leave that
The back half of the game makes the same goddamn mistakes Endwalker did.
We were buried.
Story-wise,
in your
boss
stead.
fight-wise, they did a great job up to fucking... Story-wise, they did a great job up until the end of Shaloni. Boss fight-wise, they did a great job up until fucking... You get past Zooralja's fight, and then it's like, alright, cool, no, it's not good anymore. Alright. Let's get out of this boss fight. I didn't like that one. I don't. I like the other two. I don't like that one. Which I guess 2 out of 3 is good. It's better than Endwalker, where Endwalker had 1 good boss fight and the other 2 sucked ass.
Svi!
Your voice reached me, Lamachi.
Is it really you?
No, only in part. My memories as a living person are gone. I've been remade from those I had as an endless. However, I cannot remain long, for the Meso Terminal will soon cease to function. Once, you wanted to know me, Lamachi. Let my last act be to give an honest accounting. I am, above all, sorry for the suffering I've caused your people and mine.
Remember how at the end of Zorljaw's fight, I mentioned, you didn't earn this? You still didn't earn this one, guys. Sorry, the whole story for this whole, like, section of the game has been fucking abysmal.
I am ultimately powerless against the inevitable.
This isn't a completely unearned, oh, I'm sorry. No,
on the innocent.
it's bad.
I am, in the end, a pitiful, selfish creature. One that should never have been created.
I'm sorry, I can't feel bad for you at all. Like, just go into erasure. I'm gonna pick the rudest possible option.
Our nations are worlds apart, but they feel so close. Who knows what we could have accomplished had we walked together towards a shared future. And yet, it could never be so. We each had our own to protect.
If only I had met you when I was still alive, then perhaps. But it's no use dwelling upon a miracle that didn't happen. Still, if there's one thing I hope you'll believe, it is this. Brief though it was, I treasured our time together. It pains me to think that its memory will disappear along with me. I know I have no right to ask this of you, but when I'm gone, my people, will you?
We'll take care of them. Don't worry. And we will never forget the Endless. Neither them, nor the time we spent with you. So be free of your burdens, Sphene. And sleep well.
I will. Thank you.
You got a key!
Farewell, my beloved Alexandria.
Oh, that was weird. Well, we got the key. Well, that's the whole thing, chat. That's all she wrote. Honest to God, the end of the expansion makes the exact same mistakes Endwalker does. It makes the exact same mistakes they did with Elpis and Ultima Thule. Which is a shame, because it's a really good expansion otherwise.
Their resplendent paradise was no more, as the memory sustaining it faded with the golden light. Even so, in a way, they live on. This I felt with conviction, as I basked in the glow of a new dawn.
Close my eyes and scream to the wind. Look around and find me standing all alone. Look again, we're standing there. 'Cause the storm has taken everything I know. Don't know why I thought I'd make it by myself. After all that we've been through, out of time I'm running blank in somebody's house. Learned so much in life I couldn't understand. Standing tall, we'll face tomorrow hand in hand. Weaving backwards through the war, fill every land.
Shoutouts to Estinian for only being in the game for like 8 minutes total.
It remains to be seen how interdimensional fusion may have affected other reflections. Kryle's parents spoke of the power's capacity for both good and evil. I cannot help but wonder how Svin's deeds will be remembered by those they touched. The key that started it all was entrusted to the adventurer.
It is probably the safest place to keep it.
Such an artifact certainly lies within the Scion's realm of expertise, and no objection was raised to their retaining it for research. By order of Vao Kona, the Sky Deep Cenote was placed under the strict watch of the Landscat.
Bakul Jaja.
With the mighty Bakul Jaja among their number, they shall not want for strength, even in Soralja's absence.
They told a great story. They just fumble. They fumble it real fucking hard. Real fucking hard in the last two zones. They just don't earn the climaxes. They don't.
Passing, the people of Alexandria mourned and wept. Having devoted herself to sparing them sorrow, the sight might well have moved Svín to tears. However, with Wuklamat carrying on her legacy, I have faith that her subjects will know joy once more. As anticipated, the news that young Gululja had succeeded his father as king was greeted with trepidation. Reception was also mixed when Wuklamat came forward to name herself as the boy's guardian. But the people were mollified to learn that Everkeep systems remained operational, and there would be no impact on their lives. One day, when he is older, Gululja will decide for himself what manner of ruler he will be. Till that day and beyond, may the path of the young king be illuminated by the love of family.
The fucking float.
Meanwhile, in Tuliolav, the people came together to hail their new Dawn servants' great victory. Having honored those they lost, they turned their attention to a brighter future and celebrated for 3 days and nights.
Oops, sorry. Justinian wrangling the children. Elfido, help me, please.
Not everything had been resolved, though. Those who had spent 30 years in the Dome struggled to resume their former lives. This and a host of other challenges remained. But as the new Dawn servants continue to lead with strength and wisdom, the people may be assured that peace will endure.
Don't look straight at the sun, you're gonna lose the other eye. Is that the end of the cutscenes? That's the end of the cutscenes. All right. That's the main story for Dawntrail, guys. We finally finished it. I like I said, I really genuinely really enjoyed the first 4 zones of this game. Phenomenal. But that's the same thing I can say about Endwalker. The first 4 zones felt really good, and then the last 2 zones felt very stapled on. They felt like the 2 zones, finishing up the last 2 zones with everything that has to do with Sphene and Zeralja, very much turns into, it feels like it hijacks the story. It feels like it's almost parasitic to the story, is probably the best way I could describe it, is it feels parasitic to the story. Because it just kind of forces its way in and expects you to be invested, and it expects you to care, but it doesn't give you the time to explain itself to a point where it feels like you can care. And that's a big issue. They did the same thing with Elpis and Ultima Thule and Endwalker, and it just misses the mark entirely. It doesn't, I don't know how they made this mistake so harshly with presenting the storytelling the way they did in these last 2 expansions. When you go back as far as Shadowbringers, and Shadowbringers tells a similar story to these 2 expansions, but did it in a way where when you get to the last 2 zone areas and the way they're presented for Shadowbringers, it establishes all of the characters well. And while I may not have been super thrilled with the storytelling of Shadowbringers, I can't deny that it tells itself very well from start to finish. But when it comes to these 2 expansions, Dawntrail makes the same mistakes that Endwalker did, where it rushes through the back half, it staples it on and expects you to become extremely invested and very excited about these 2 new zones, and I couldn't find myself able to care about the characters we were interacting with because I wasn't given the time to know who they are. So by the time we get through their story to the end of it, there isn't time to attach to this character. There isn't time to understand their motivations and give a shit. So when they come to this big comeuppance or deep realization, it's not earned. It's just happening. And it's very mediocre. And I don't understand why they've done this a second time. I don't know why they tried to do the same thing in the same way. Batman, there's no laws against Pokemon, Batman. There's no laws against Pokemon, Batman. I can do whatever I want. Otis Foot, how's it going? But like in contrast to the first 4 zones, like the first 4 zones were phenomenal. There's so much world building. You're given time to interact with these characters. You learn about Muklamad and Kona and Bakul Jaja, and then all the side characters you're introduced with as you're going through all the trials, the different races and how they differ from the Eorzean versions of these races. And you get all this depth. We get all this information with the Yakui and all this extra details and how this plays in and how they've experienced different things that have happened through the game's storytelling, how it correlates to things we've seen. And there's moments within these 2 last regions where it's like, okay, there's interesting portions, but they're just kind of sprinkled in, and it's like things that I feel like should have been focused on. We're just kind of like a flash in the pan, and we touch this and we're past it real fast. And it's like, it plays very heavily into trying to do this big mystery thriller, foreshadow heavy storytelling that this team is just not good at. I'm sorry, Creative Studio 3 is just not good at the mystery thriller storytelling. They just don't do a good job with the cliffhangers and all the foreshadowing and like, ooh, we're gonna show you just a little bit of this and give you a little bit of, ooh, this character might actually be evil. And it's like, please stop. You're just not establishing this in a way that's functional. Look back to why expansions like Heaven's Ward were successful. I'll learn from why Heaven's Ward failed at times. Understand why Stormblood was successful, but why Stormblood failed at times. Understand why Shadowbringers was successful, but failed at times. It feels like Dawntrail to Endwalker, they learned nothing from how Endwalker told its story and tried to repeat the exact same storytelling. And I think, honestly, Dawntrail shows Endwalker's fault points a lot sharper because there aren't characters involved that we were already attached to before going in. it's easier to criticize Dawntrail than Endwalker for doing the exact same things because they're not characters we are already stuck with. We already knew who the other characters were. In Dawntrail, we didn't already know the characters, which paints it a lot harsher to show it. So it's easier to see it, but it makes the exact same mistakes that the second half of Endwalker did. The second you're finished with the Zodiac fight, the exact same problems unfold here. The only difference here is that instead of it happening after the second trial here, it happens after the 4th zone is finished. Because the trial wasn't till the end of the 5th zone. Like I said, I loved this game. I loved this expansion up to the end of Shaloni, and then after that, I like moments, but the last two zones, the last third of the game is not very good. It's amateurish is the worst part to say. It's amateurish in the worst way because these are lessons they should have already learned, and it's a real shame that they make the exact same mistakes. I'm very unfortunately disappointed. The like ending scene is cool. There's moments that are really good here, but man, I'm just very disappointed with the last two zones. Uncle Cider. People happy. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I really loved this up until the end of Shaloni where they pop the dome up, and then it derails the story, and it feels very much like they're like classic Final Fantasy writing. It feels very much like the best one I can explain is when I watched through Barb's playthrough of Final Fantasy VII, I realized, wow, I didn't realize why I didn't like this game as a kid watching my friends play through it, because it was just as bad. You get through like the first 2/3 of that game, and then all of a sudden the Sephiroth and Jenova stuff just hijacks the storytelling in a very ineloquent way. And it's the same way that Endwalker's back third and this expansion's back third do the exact same thing. It's very disappointing. I really wish it wasn't the case, but it's the same thing a second time, and I'm sad by it because I really wanted to like this one all the way through. By the time we were halfway through Shaloni, before we even got through to the end of the zone, this expansion was on track to dethrone my favorite experience the game gave me, which is the whole section from the end of Heavensward's main story. Like, you finish off the Dragon Song War and it starts the build up into the Girabanyan Revolution. All of Stormblood's storytelling, and then the way that ties it off before the Shadowbringer stuff starts. That is like my favorite by far storytelling they've done. It's very well set up and very grounded. It's very built together, plays very nice with each other. It doesn't trample on the rest of the storytelling of the game. And it doesn't assert itself in a bad way. It does a really solid job, and it's just this compounds the same problems I had, is where Endwalker starts really fucking strong and then fumbles so hard in the last third, and this does exactly the same thing. And it's a damn shame, because where this could have been a fantastic 8 or 9 out of 10, I can't give it more than a 6, maybe 6.5, because that last third is just fucking bad. The last third of the game is so bad. And it's just a shame. But that's my final thoughts on Dawntrail. I'm excited to still play more of it. I had a lot of fun, and the game plays really good. But storytelling wise, my god. I don't know what happened in the last third, but I don't know why we repeated the same mistakes. The same mistakes we made at Endwalker. The exact same situation. Yeah. It's just a shame. It's just a shame. Because the first 2/3 are incredible. The first 2/3 are fucking incredible. And then there's only parts of the back third that are good. There's parts of the back third that are good, and then there's parts of the back third that just don't earn it. They don't earn your investment. Every moment they have with the whole culmination at the end with Namika and Kakiwa and Kryle's parents, I think, is probably the only one that is given enough breathing room for what it is to do anything with. But even then, like, they don't earn the other ones. They don't earn the whole Otis part. Just feels so, who cares? Otis was a really fun character, but we got to see Otis for all of maybe an hour of story. He was in and out of the story in fucking 15 minutes. Like, this character we didn't get I liked the character because of the voice acting, but we didn't get any opportunity for him to be more than, oh, he sounds like Hammerlock or from Borderlands or Cogsworth from Fallout. And like, that's it. He's stereotypical old English speaking knight with the jolly gentleman attitude. And you got to see him for all of 15 minutes, and that's it. You didn't earn getting to establish his character and that suddenly make me care about him. When it's not even the same character, you find out. Like, it doesn't... You didn't earn that. You didn't earn that. Like, you can't just create a character and force me to like them. You can't just do that. Like, the best example I could say that does that in, like, modern storytelling is fucking, the girl that's friends with Atreus in Ragnarok. I don't even remember her fucking name. Angerboda. They do the same thing with Angerboda in Ragnarok and God of War Ragnarok. They force the character in, and they just expect you to fall in love with this character without giving any reason or setup to do that. And you don't earn that. You can't make me like a character because you've decided that I have to like this character. That's not how storytelling works. And they did this with Medion. They did this with Hermes. Like, you didn't set this character up. You didn't give them time. You didn't give me a reason. You can't just do that. You have to give it time. You can't just slap the character in and go, now I get it. So now, oh, we're gonna do this big ending with them and it's gonna mean something. Zeralja doesn't get any screen time to establish his motivation. So when you get his big revelation and comeuppance at the end of his fight, it's meaningless. It doesn't hold substance. It can't hold water. It's riddled with holes. He can't have this sudden revelation and comeuppance and understanding because you didn't earn that. He didn't have that moment. You didn't give him time to establish his motivations. We don't really understand why he was doing what he did. Oh, well, he was in his father's shadow. You can't just say that and now we get it. That's not how it works. That's not motivation. You've a hollow villain. Sphene, oh, well, she's got all this stuff, but then you also at the same breath have she's carrying the burdens of having to have all these people and she loves her people, but in the same breath, oh, well, she's just a computer programmer and is just acting on her programming. You in the same breath established a character and assassinated the character. In the same breath, you've created and assassinated a character in one sentence. How did, like, you can't make me like a character that you've shot and you in the same breath you were telling me who they were, shot them in the head. It's just not. They do such a horrible job handling the last third of the game. I can't count the second half of the game. It's the last third of the game because it's after the fourth zone that they start establishing all this other nonsense. And like, it could have been handled so much better because it's such a neat idea. And it can set up so many interesting things for the story going forward, but it's so poorly handled. I would equate the last third of Dawntrail feels exactly like what Blizzard did with Shadowlands, is they had a really cool idea that could set up a really cool forward section of the storytelling, and they botched it in the worst fucking way they could have. For what could have been really, really good is handled so fucking poorly. And I withheld all the judgment I could for this until we got to the credits. And I have to say, even getting the credits, it did not alleviate any fears I had. The second we got done with Shaloni, I was like, this is gonna go really fucking south. And they're gonna pull a fucking Endwalker and shoot this whole story in the back of the head. And that's exactly what they fucking did. They took all the investment you have in the story and took a giant fucking shit on it. Because they just hijack it in the worst way to tell the rest of the story with the Golden City. They could have done this so much better. And it's just not done well. God, it's just so fucking disappointing. It's so fucking disappointing. Man, I hate getting to a credits on a game and then not being happy about it. That's the worst feeling. I love when I get to a credits scene and I feel really good about it. Like, man, I had a great time. This I can only go, I had an okay time. I had an okay time. Because just the back third was just such dog shit. Ugh, yeah, I'm disappointed. First 2/3 of the expansion, perfect. 8, 9 out of 10. Ugh, if I could have just finished the story at Shaloni, I feel like I would have been happy. This, the last third, God, I did not like. I really wanted to. I really, really wanted to like it, but man, it insists on itself. God, the Hanu stuff, the Pelu was great. Learning about frickin' learning about the Yakui and the Moblins. Learning about the Zabral and the Mamulja, and like how all these peoples came together and how Tuliolol is formed. Like that's so well set up, and like chasing this mystery with the Golden City being so interesting. And like even if you're like equipped with understanding how stories like that go of like, oh, this mystical paradise Golden City, like it always is that those places are never as good as it's never as good. It's always just too good to be true. It's either not real and it's okay, the real Golden City is the friends we made along the way, or when you do find it, it's, oh, this has got a really seedy, dark, horrid aspect to it, like, uh-oh. But because of the way they present it and the way it's instigated, it's just not, it doesn't earn the climax it gets. The climax it gives you and it wants you to care about it doesn't earn it. And that's what's disappointing, is you get to the end of it and it just feels rude. Yeah, Just upsetting. Just upsetting. Hopefully the patch content does, in my opinion, a better job. Hopefully they can salvage it with the patch content, but it just feels so forced. It's almost like, it almost feels like a kill your darling situation. Like they really wanted to do this futuristic Solution 9 city and idea concept. And what's crazy is this is the fourth time since Shadowbringers that we've touched on the exact same theming. The exact same theming for ending a story. Is this whole, like, let's treat with death and how we experience death. And it's like, you've told this story. You've told this story 3 times already. We did it with the first. We did it again during Endwalker. We did it again during Endwalker's post game, and now we've done it again in the last third of this game. And it's like, do we need to keep telling the same story? We've done this. Like, we dealt with this in Garlemald. We dealt with this in Pandemonium. We dealt with this in The Void. We dealt with this... No, we dealt with this actually more than I'm thinking. Or we dealt with this also in the first 2 different times. Like... It feels so just repetitive now. And it's just because it's one of those, like, you start to see it, and it's like the pattern recognition is, oh, okay, well, I see this is going. We've done this exact story. It's like the meme of the crow that's telling jokes, and it's the, boo, get better material, and he's flipping through, sweating, panicking, because all the jokes are exactly the same. It feels like they've run out of how to tie off the story, how to establish a final confrontation. And it's like, but you had such good ideas to do confrontations. Tell your war stories. Tell these heavy-hitting, you know, grounded stories. You don't need to tell this high fantasy, like, way beyond holy shit reality spanning concepts. Like, you don't need these stories to tell a good story in this game. You don't. It's the same problem World of Warcraft has, is like they got that one high of like, oh, we had the Burning Legion invade, and like, oh, now we have to live up to the Burning Legion. Like, man, my guy, like, your best storytellings in all of World of Warcraft are the defense of Red Ridge Mountains, is the investigation of what's going on with the Defias Brotherhood in Westfall, is, you know, understanding the Harpy infestation of the Barrens. Like, you know, what are the movements of the Blackrock Orcs in the Blasted Lands? Like, those are your best stories are the grounded ones. You don't need these crazy high fantasy grandiose concept stories to have a strong and compelling story. I would argue your story more likely becomes totally unwieldy the further you go into that kind of shit. I would love to see games stay more grounded with it. Stay more grounded with it. Like, they just don't handle these grandiose, huge, high concept stories well. Like, and if you're gonna do it the way you did in Shadowbringers. I may not have liked the theming and the way that it, like, co-opted the storytelling for the whole main grand narrative the game was following, because it had to forcibly establish the way it would tie off. But, like, even then, like, self-contained, Shadowbringers tells a good story. It's in the scope of the whole story that I have issues with it. Self-contained, it tells a good story. Both in the storytelling and contained, Endwalker and Dawntrail don't do that good of a job by comparison, because of how they just shoot themselves so hard in the foot. I just hope that salvages it. It's just I'm more disappointed than really, like, not happy with it, but, like, man, I guess disappointed and not happy, it might be the same terms, but either way, like, it doesn't earn, the last third doesn't earn it. I really wanted it to be better. Well, now where do we go next? Still more map with clouds on it, I guess. It's the
I'm
homies.
sorry, we haven't been able to talk properly. Oh, between the reconstruction work and Papa's funeral, I've hardly had time to breathe. But at long last, there's a lull in my duties. You've done more for us than we could ever hope to repay. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
When we left the Eorzea behind to take part in the contest, none of us could have predicted what complications would follow. You truly have a knack for finding trouble, my friend.
Smilers.
But you wouldn't have it any other way.
So what's next for you? Assuming you're still set on leaving the Gleaner's life behind?
Really?
I'm off to fulfill my mother's dream, of course. Like she had intended, I'll embark on a journey in search of the unknown. She's sure to enjoy my stories when we meet again in the ethereal sea.
Well, well, sounds like a plan. But will you have the coin to get by?
I may no longer be a gleaner, but I still have contacts in Sharlayan. Contacts with deep pockets, always eager to pay for information on new or rare species.
You've got it all worked out. And what of you? Any new adventures in the offing? Regardless, until you're ready to leave, you're our guest here in Tulihiola. And this time, I won't pester you to take up a post. By now, I know you well enough to know you can't stay in one place. No more than you can ignore the plight of those in need. Your path will always lead you elsewhere, and you'll continue walking it. Isn't that so?
Pretty much.
An adventurer to the marrow you are. What is it exactly that spurs you on?
That's a great question. I like this last one though. Who knows where we go next then? Okay. So we're still leaving Chekhov's gun on the table? We mentioned the crown gets mentioned at one point in the storytelling and then never gets mentioned again after that. So are we just gonna live with Chekhov's gun here yet again? Homecomings are usually uneventful affairs. This time it was anything but for me. All's well that ends well. We have you to thank for that. Well, as much as I'd love to keep chatting, I need to get going. Still a heap of things to do, and it wouldn't do to leave it all to Kona. By the way, did Gululja decide to remain in Solution 9? He did. He said that he can consider Tuliolol his home, but he's more comfortable over there. Shell keeps an eye on him for us. We'll visit him as often as we can. He still needs our support, especially while he's agonizing over his inherited authority. I told him he needn't make a decision right away. Can't postpone it forever either. I'll do whatever I can to help Gululja, just as well as everyone inside the dome. I promised as much to Sveen. For my part, I'll be keeping to Tyrol for a time. Among other things, I'd like to look into the problem with the wildlife in Shaloni. If you get the urge, Andy, let's go on another adventure together. There's still plenty of places I would like to show you. Well, that sounds like fun. If you ever have need of me, I'll come running. Oh, before I forget, I also have a gift for you. Can you guess what it is? An alpaca! It comes from Tobley's stable, of course. It's as sure-footed as they come. Perfect for an adventurer who's always on the move, eh? Here, this is the whistle for calling it. Yo, we got an alpaca! It was all worth it. Right. I'll really get going now. But I'm sure we'll meet again soon. Till next time, take care. The whole city's all just listless and everything now. Fellow citizens of Alexandria, ever since our beloved queen's passing, you have understandably abided in grief. Sorrow darkens your once bright faces. But is this what Her Majesty would have wished to see? No, most assuredly not. You know this to be true. If we are to honor her memory, we must reclaim our smiles. To that end, RTX on, you're right. How's it going, Joe? We finally rolled credits. Looks like the arena's back open. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm not a huge fan of the third trial. The third trial I'm not. I like the first two, which is definitely up from last expansion. Not a huge fan of the third one. And overall, the last third of the game I'm not super excited with. The Wrangler-hatted man. That's right, friends. After a long hiatus, I'm pleased to announce the grand reopening of the Arcadian. Call me Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. That's right. That's not right. Rome's finest fighters stand ready to entertain you in glorious and thrilling combat. Come and join us, I bid you. Let your cares be forgotten. Who's champ? That's what you'll be saying. It's Sunday SmackDown. The skies aflame proclaim night's end, and thoughts unto adventures tend. Oh, I missed it. It's too fast. You've completed the main scenario quest, Dawntrail. Quests to unlock new content have become available in Tuliolol and Solution 9. Additionally, you may now enter Alexandria with a party of NPC avatars. To make use of this feature, open the Trust interface located under Duty in the main menu. Rest well, Seeker of the Unknown, for many and more adventures await you. Yeah, I liked the expansion overall, but the last third of it definitely. You finished Shaloni, and I wasn't as happy with it. I got the card on the first kill. Hell yeah. Known as a Pelu merchant's best friend, the alpaca has long been raised as livestock in the mountainous regions of Tyrol. They're prized for their wool, a staple material in traditional textiles, as well as their sure-footedness, which sees them employed as both pack animals and cavalry mounts. You can take an alpaca to water, but you can't make it drink. Thanks, Keshko. The Lalafell version is so tiny. I'd imagine it can't be very big. For 50k? Nope. And Niv, it was free. No one's. You spent 50k on your alpaca, Niv? Oops. Having resolved to plunder Aether from other worlds, Sphene shed her consciousness by erasing her memories and arose as this entity within the Meso Terminal. It wields the absolute authority of Alexandria's eternal queen and exists solely to sustain the endless. Alright, well. Oh, Yoshi P's here. That's the end of the expansion, guys. Alright, but yeah, like I said, I had fun. I definitely enjoyed myself, but I for sure have issues with the way that they tell the storytelling through and through. We got aiming and healing are the only ones we got. Unfortunate.